The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast. Just 24 hours ago, we started off the 2026 area campaign at this very racetrack with the Cup Series, and boy, what a race did we see. Nearly 60 lead changes and absolute chaos running to the checkers. What will be replicated tonight here now under the lights at Daytona, here in the trucks. Built tough are these trucks. With a lot of speed, a lot of drag, and a lot of suck-up, we should see ourselves an amazing show here to start off the Area Truck Series 2026 edition. Welcome everybody to PTR TV for today's coverage. Round number 1 here on the Area Truck Series schedule right here at the World Center of Racing for what will be a 90-lap race. I'm going to be myself, Corey Silva, in the booth and in the truck per usual, going out and one of my longtime colleagues hasn't worked as much lately, but back with me, Andre. We call him Dirt Grambush here to help me out with the call. So first off, welcome back to the booth, Dirt. It's been quite a bit of time, but what better way to come back than some trucking at Daytona?
Yeah, thank you, Corey. It has been a while indeed. I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to this race. If the Cup race last night was any indicator, this should be a pretty action-packed race for certain. I know that Area is quite the field. They got a lot of talent, a lot of solid drivers in this group, and 90 laps here at Daytona. What can you say about it? You're going to see bump drafting, you're going to see pack racing, and you might see the drivers be a little bit more on edge than usual. I know that iRacing's made some changes to the tire models and the aerodynamics, and these trucks like to jump around a little bit, so they might not have it as easy as they used to. Yeah, that has been a point of contention here in some of the servers and some of the comms that we have been reading, that the drivers are not having as much fun in the trucks, not just in Area, across the board here, getting used to the new aerodynamics, tire package, everything that iRacing has done. Of course, a little channel maintenance that, of course, we have to do. Our cameras today brought to you by Whiplash SimCams. If you like what you see, check him out on Facebook, facebook.com/WSimCams. And, of course, thanks for tuning in here to PTR TV on YouTube. And if you're on the Area Twitch side of things, you can consider subscribing over there for $5 a month. Get your custom emotes, double points, and you can redeem that for some sick and lit Area merch, that drip and that swag and all those Kevin Harvick euphemisms that Andre will throw me out the booth for. Yeah, the thing that surprised me, though, was Brad saying that nobody says drip anymore, because at first I was like, no, they say it all the time, and then I thought back, and it was like the last time I heard it was probably 2016, which was indeed like 10 years ago, so I think Brad was actually right. He might be more hip than either of us, but, it is what it is. The merch is indeed cool, though. Whatever terminology you're going to use for it, the merch is indeed very cool, and if you're a fan of the league, a driver of the league, or you're supporting somebody that is in the league, there is no better way to do so than to get yourself some drip, we'll call it. In the meantime, they are still qualifying, Corey, and, I say it every single time they come to one of these tracks, and you're probably glad I haven't been in the booth, because you haven't had to hear it in a long time, but at a plate race, there is only 2 safe places to be, the front or the back. You qualify in the middle, that's the danger zone.
Absolutely. If you watched the Cup race last night, who was the only guy to survive? The guy up front, who eventually went on to win the thing, so take your pick where you want to be. If this place doesn't have any cautions, though, which it has happened in the past, doesn't have cautions and you go to the back, then maybe you'll never get your chance to go to the front. So it's the gamble that you do play with. But that'll be the end of qualifying. So again, we want to thank everyone for tuning in here to PTR TV. If it's your first time, don't make it your last. Hit the like and subscribe button. We are about 30 subs short of 2,000, and we would love to get that value as soon as possible. But now we have a warm-up, so I'm glad I didn't cue directly into the grid music, because I would have looked like an idiot more so than I already do. But that gives us some more time to kind of cover the bases here with what we are doing here. Again, first starting up here, your exclusive home of area for 2026 last night. And then, of course, in Thursday, 2 days' time, Andre, it's getting really, it's getting weird. He's saying this. The Nopes cars will be live with us in the Thursday Pro Series.
That'll definitely be something to look out for. Definitely looking forward to it. While we have the warm-up, I do want to mention we just got some word from race control. You might see some drivers go to the back, and you might see some drivers take a drive-through. We've got 3 carryover penalties for this event. Danny Ware gets an EOL, so he'll be going to the tail of the field. Jeremy Brown has a drive-through, and Ryan Andrew also going to get an EOL to the back. He goes. Those are the only 3 carryovers, but EOL, maybe not the worst thing to have at Daytona. I know some guys, they qualify 5th or 6th, not quite at the front, and they will intentionally drop down to the apron and head to the back. It's not something that is going to be a race ender here at Daytona, more than likely. They got plenty of time and plenty of opportunity to recover from that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to start at the back last night, I mean, even in the next-gen car, you hear the moniker that you can't pass on the racetrack. Well, whatever iRacing has done here in the simulator, they can pass on the racetrack. We saw, I believe it was right around 60 lead changes to finish last night through, which was absolutely insane to see. If you had missed that, again, go watch the VOD or go back and rewatch the VOD, because it certainly was a great show. Last season's race, season 7, won by Mason Kane. And is Mason here in today's session? I don't see him, so we will not have a back-to-back winner unless I am just scrolling up and down our live timing screen too quickly. So last year he only led 8 laps, took the lead with 1 to go. Believe it or not, a last lap pass at Daytona. What a crazy thing to ever have happen, right?
Well, it wouldn't be so crazy years ago, but it seems like there's a trend in real life where last lap moves tend to stall out. It has been a few races in a row now where the guy that led coming to the white was the guy that won the race. So I don't know if that's just drivers mistiming their moves or just the aero package doing what it does, making passing a little bit more difficult. But here in the sim, it's not quite that way. In the sim, you're going to see a lot of last lap passes and generally higher degree of success with those passes. We do have the trucks headed down to the grid. Warm-up session is complete. And on the pole, it is going to be Cole Cabre in the P1 position. Josh Parrish going to be P2 in that 55 truck to his outside. Row 2 is going to consist of Jeremy Brown and Logan Hartman. Jeremy Brown, a regular here on the channel. Seems like he's in every league. Ryan Swan going to be inside row 3, P5. Then he's got Ben Pierce, P6. 7 and 8 going to go to Corey Bodie and Jeremy Miller, respectively. Running at the top 10, it's going to be Alex Chilcutt and Garrett Grant.
A name that we've covered on this channel for almost 10 years, Garrett Grant. Carson Burrows in 11th with Jacob Harbert. Last night, he finished 2nd there, getting through that last lap chaos. Zach Carr, the Aussie native. No, he's not. I kept calling him Australian last night. There is an Aussie. Apparently, it's not him. But Trevor Edwards in 14th. Brian Nolan 15th. Chase Cabre. Yes, it is that Chase Cabre. He is in 16th with Aaron Johnson 17th. Danny Ware, where is he at? Right there in 18th. Rounding out our top 20, Josh Cotto. And then Cody Dempster for Eagle Performance.
Outside of the top 20, it is going to be Bryce Senesac, P21. Travis Beckner to his outside at 22nd. 23rd, Kyle Taub. And then you're going to have 24, Dawson Miller. 25th, I should say, going to Garrett Conrad. Stephen, oh boy, that's a name.
I'm going to say Oberstadt.
Oberstadt? Yeah. P26, Stephen Oberstadt. Hopefully we didn't butcher that. Probably did. Eli Green going to be P27. Brad Slaughter Jr. to his outside. 29th and 30th, Joseph Swan and Forrest Smith.
And then we'll go back into the 30s. Brad's basically, may as well call him his boyfriend. Zach Nerney in 31st. Good PTR TV friend. Alex McCollum in 32nd. We have Nicholas Renner 33rd. Chase Swank in 34th. A UK native potentially there. Hayden Swank in 35th. Is there a relation? Probably. Grant Brown. Is that the Grant Brown? I know it is in 36th. 37th is Dante Curtis. Jacob Bell, the boss man, in 38th. And then not on the grid, but registered, is Jeffrey Wilson in the 39th position.
And that is going to be your starting grid. So for those changes of drivers getting EOLs and having their penalties served, we do have some race details. 100% fuel, no fast repairs in the pits, 4 sets of tires, and 3 green white checkered attempts for 90 laps here. That is quite generous on the tires, I would say. 4 sets, given they really only need about 2 pit stops to make it, and that gives them a little bit of option.
Now that will be that's basically a blanket statement. That's what the contract was with Goodyear, so it doesn't matter where we race over the course of this season. They're going to have 4 sets in the pits.
And it's going to be nice here, but it may seem stingy at other tracks. I know that the tire wear on iRacing has gotten a little bit worse over the years, and they've definitely worked on making it so these tires do wear out, and taking tires is a bigger benefit. So, you go to a track like Darlington or, some of these kind of cheese grater tracks where you're really getting on that right front, you're going to have some issues. Keys to the race, Corey. What do we got here? Number 1, survival. That's a given. It's Daytona. You got to make it to the end to win this thing. Nail your green flag pit stops. We saw so many issues last night, Corey, coming down pit road in the Cup Series. A lot of drivers locking up those brakes. Hopefully, these truck drivers have practiced their stops. And find your friends, Corey. Do you think that, teamwork's going to make the dream work?
Absolutely. And I had an asterisk on that second one because we don't know if we're going to have green flag stops. Some of these races go very, very clean. Some of them, well, that pace truck may be the leader of the laps led award. So we'll find out what happens, but that pace truck's going to stay out on the track. I know we had 2 pace laps last night, and we're going to have 2 pace laps again. So we'll get to further just unwind and unpack what we have. All those drivers who did have those EOLs will get to rightly find themselves and get those penalties. Again, Ryan Andrew, Jeremy Brown, and Danny Ware appropriately there.
I got to ask you, Corey, given the start of this race, everybody is going to be right together, 2 wide. Where do you prefer to be? Do you want to be on the high line, or do you want to be on the low side? I've always been a low line kind of guy. You get a little bit of runoff, a little bit of grace. If there's any incidents, you kind of have somewhere to go. Not really a luxury you have on the high side, but I know that some people, they stick to it almost religiously up on that high side.
Yeah, I'm always someone I have more fun on the top, but I feel like you can make more moves on the top. But from a pure safety perspective, I would much rather be there on the bottom of the track, because if you look to the inside groove there, Dirt, you have about, I don't know, the state of Rhode Island worth of asphalt to evade a wreck. But if you're on the high lane, there's that big white thing there that'll get in your way. So for survival, I like to be on the inside.
I definitely agree. And it is unfortunate you've got all that pavement. It used to be grass, and it used to kind of force these guys to make a little bit of smart moves down the back straightaway. But now we've got all this runoff, and a little bit of a fallback on the bottom groove. But going through 3 and 4, lights are off on the pace car. These drivers probably feeling the nerves on this last pace lap, but by now they are getting ready to fade away. Once they get these things in gear, they're not going to be thinking about the nerves. They're going to be thinking about all those trucks around them and how they can safely navigate these 90 laps and hopefully find their teammates, because like you said, finding somebody to work with is going to be crucial. These trucks are basically bricks on wheels. They punch huge holes in the air. I would say the draft is even more important in this car than it would be for Cup or Xfinity. So here we go. Corey, pace car's off. Take it away.
Yeah, pace truck is in. Cole Cabra on the front row with Josh Parrish into that United Rentals restart zone. Barney's going to wave the flag, and we're going to get truck racing underway here for the 2026 campaign. And right off the get-go, Cole has a little bit of a jump there in that car, waiting for that Rick's hot sauce car of truck. We'll say that over and over again, of Ryan Swan to get to his arrears with the push from Alex Chilcutt at outside, not having the momentum off the opening jump.
No, and you do see that quite frequently. The leader's going to get a bit of a jump, and he pulls the entire lane with him to the outside, about 3 truck lengths back now. But it looks like already we're starting to see a third line form. Some drivers starting to experiment. There goes the number 20. He's going to jump out of line. The top he goes. He wants the 55 to give him a shove. So everybody just sort of trying to figure out where they want to go. That third lane has already dissipated, save for a couple of rows. Most everybody's gotten back down to 2 wide, or at least they're trying to, the earliest convenience. And another taker to the outside. That is going to be the number 60. Alex Chilcutt, I think he led that lap, in fact, with that move. Got the 20 right behind, and now it looks like the advantage goes to the high side.
Yeah, and that number 54, I see Pit Stop TV on that car. Usually I don't like having competing broadcasters there, but Andrew Cardinale runs that channel, Pit Stop TV, and that's where our cameras come from, so I don't mind showing that there. You could show him some love, a lot of hard work. But now they're 3 wide, about middle row there. Brad Slaughter, that's a name I expect to see in the middle. And another one of the Hendry County trucks, that is Travis Beckner, trying to find his partner Alex Chilcutt, who is in the outside. And not a lot of trucks there in that middle lane, as there goes Cabry back to the outside. I think that middle seems to work better than it did in the next gen.
It is working pretty well. It looks like Brad Slaughter is kind of maintaining his momentum, but the problem is it's just a tight situation to be in. And, iRacing's netcode is very good on average, but boy, you got to have a lot of faith in iRacing to put it 3 wide like that. Cars inside, outside.
Oh.
And we've got a little bit of contact there. The number 7, I got some help maybe from the number 13. And down to the apron he goes. He's going to have to try to find his way back to the track before he gets to the corner. Otherwise, he will be trapped there. And there he goes to the asphalt. They kind of caught a break there. That could have been real bad for him.
Yeah, that was Brian Noel there, and Brian Noel, pardon me, Seth Noel, Brian Noel, spelled very similar but said different, so we got to put that in the old noggin. We'll do our best to get names right. Oh, my goodness, 55, Josh Paris, our outside pole sitter, really struggling there in the middle, but the reason he's struggling is because of the push being implemented by, I think that's Slaughter behind him. Yes, it is, in that Toyota, Rivertown Group Toyota there. And again, I think there's just more side draft, there's more side force on the truck, and that kind of creates a tunnel effect where you're almost getting a draft from both sides, from the left and the right, and that's kind of what keeps this middle lane working. It's what used to be the case on former draft models here at iRacing, but the truck still seems to benefit the most from it.
It definitely does, and I cannot believe they made this middle group work as long as they have. They're making me nervous, though, that 55 bobbing and weaving all over the track, Corey. I mean, he's one wrong move, and you're ping-ponging between the competition, and it's going to be a 30-truck pile-up. It is extremely precise, the driving you got to do in that center groove. They've managed it so far. The 86 now takes the front of that group, able to slide out of line. Thought maybe they were going to go, and the 81, Brad Slaughter, said, "No, sir. I've been up here for about 5 laps, and I've had enough of that." Down to the bottom he goes, but nobody really following him. Not that they would have the opportunity if they wanted to, but look at that wall of trucks. If you're in that middle groove, you're locked to it. There's no escape route as they stand.
Yep, and of course Daytona, being the narrower of the super speedways, actually the same width as the Atlanta reconfiguration, right around I think 35 feet of raceway, as opposed to Talladega, which gives you that 4th lanes here. So these 3 wide moves, while they are doable, it's a lot more difficult. Nicole Caber going to the top of the racetrack, I think trying to work with, who is that truck there, that white truck? That is Garrett Grant. And then just behind that, you have the 30 of Jeremy Miller. And as we always talk about there, Dirt, the guys who are, hey, you know what? This ain't for me. The old Terry Labonte strategy here on the plate tracks for us old-timers. Who do we have here just cruising back? Close enough for the draft, but not enough to be able to miss the wreck.
Yeah, you do not want to lose the draft.
Jacob Bell, Hayden Swank, Stephen Overstat. We did say that right, by the way, so kudos to us. They're not single file, but you can tell they're leaving just enough distance where if something happens, they have enough space to hit the binders, go to the inside and hopefully evade.
Right, and I think the truck does have a slightly longer draft distance. In Cup, it's about 1 to 1.1 seconds. Trucks, I think you can start to feel the pull right around 1.7. So a little bit of a grace period, luckily for these guys. They want to hang back. But, these guys are not playing it very conservative. Very few of these drivers are even thinking about hanging back. You see a big shot from the number 20, Ryan Swan, to Zach Carr in the 27. And it's funny, you see this three-wide racing in real life, and usually that's a product of everybody is trying to save fuel, and they're just kind of riding around. I don't get the impression these guys are saving anything, Corey. I think this is pretty much flat out jostling for position, not really worried about conservation.
Yeah, it doesn't seem as such. And we did talk a little bit earlier about the pit stop situation right around 40 laps. So if you knew that you still had 32 laps just to make it to the pit stop, and then on top of that, you have another pit stop. So there's really and again, there's no stages. So there's really nothing I don't want to say there's nothing to race for at this point, but there's no need to make that super tight decision, super narrow move. You still have so much on the table and so much to lose if it goes wrong.
Yeah, there is definitely a lot to lose again. No quick repair in the pits. This is going to be a regular damage situation in this league, and I believe the truck is one of the vehicles that you can get pretty much everything repaired over time if you want to sit there long enough, but with only 90 laps, it's not really going to be too worth it. We do have an instant replay. This is, I believe, Jeremy Brown.
This is Jeffrey Miller, who just exited the pits and just don't know what happened, but he is 6 laps off the pace. Jeremy Miller, remember, he was one of those cars that had the penalty, and he has lost the draft. He's a lap down and then some, just all the way off in no man's land. So he's going to want a caution to come out. Alex McCollum is off the track and out, so that would give Miller the free pass. And you don't want the free pass being 2 laps down, because that means you need 2 cautions. You just want 1. But look, we do have a little bit of separation to speak of right now. Dante Curtis in the 03 truck, that 609 truck right there, white and purple text. He is the end of it. And then you have Brian Noel there. Actually, just as I say that, it looks like they've gotten in range and scratched that whole last sentence.
It was getting close. I'm right there with you. I thought they were going to be out of the draft, and it was going to be 2 packs. But again, this truck just has a little bit bigger of a... okay, there you go. Now, they got a little bit of a bigger draft range, and so they were able to pull him right back up. But they got to be careful. It's a little bit of a connection issue there for one of those drivers in the back. We just saw him disappear. Hopefully that resolves itself. But up front, how about Brad Slaughter? He was 3rd in line in the middle not too long ago. He is now the front of the line for that center lane, and he's trying to get up towards the lead. They got a lot of good momentum. He's getting up to the second car in line, getting to the quarter panel, but not really able to do much with it as they're going to close in the corner. The number 30 goes from the outside down to the middle. He's going to try to get a little bit of a side draft going, and it is a powerful thing. Side draft can be very, very useful with these trucks, but again, I'm just impressed. They've been doing this 3 wide for pretty much the entirety of the race, and knock on wood, so far so good.
There's Corey Bodie there, cat dad and a field filler, where he's currently racing above field filler status here, right on the edge of the top 10. Kind of in that position where you're 10th one lap, 8th the next, 14th the next. Just really depends how your line is playing out. See to the inside, we have Logan Hartman in that teal blue truck. I don't think we've pointed him out here today, but cruising there in that inside lane. And Bryce Senesac looking to the outside here in turn number 1, pulls up right in front of Jeremy Miller, taking the run off the 30. The 30 is just going to give him the shot rather than take the middle 3 wide move.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of risk assessment there, deciding, you know what, not going to make that move, and probably the smart thing to do. We are on lap 12 out of 90, which kind of hard to believe we're already on lap 12. This race is really flying by. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the pit range is on a tank of gas for these trucks. I'm going to assume anywhere between 35 to 40 laps. That might be kind of on the high end.
That's what I would go with, yeah. About 37, 38, probably more fine-tuned, but we're frequently wrong.
They're not too far out from having to think about that. And When that comes along, it's going to be a real problem for these drivers on the outside, because you got to be able to get to that double yellow line to get to the pits. And so far for some of these guys, it has been the great wall of trucks just blocking them from getting down. They got a little while before they got to think about it, but it will become an issue if this 3-wide persists, and so far it has.
Bryce Sunasak here for 09 Racing. Roman numerals are hard, but his number is 09, so that actually made that a lot easier. But he is right there in the middle. Again, Cole Cabry down there to the inside. And the other Cabry here, the one that you probably know from YouTube, and Haley Deegan there, Chase Cabry, he's down there in the 32nd spot. He is kind of doing that, yep, I'm just riding right now. And there seems to be a lot more people on that strategy right now, just cruising in the back. That lane, that snake line is significantly longer, and that 2 and 3 wide pack is slowly fizzling out.
Yeah, like I said, I think these guys are probably forward thinking right now. Bottom is going to be the place they need to be within about 15 laps. So, maybe don't want to be on the far outside. And as we say that, maybe a little bit of contact through the corner. They are 3 wide back in about row 10 or so. And it looks like there were sparks. Maybe I'm just seeing things, but they kept it together nonetheless. Now that second pack, I do want to point out, they're kind of just, that was a close call to the 44. That I thought for sure was going to be a spin. That I cannot believe they were able to sort that out. But the number 44, Corey Bodie, able to maintain his position and keep anything worse from occurring there. But as I was saying, that second pack, Corey, is looking a little bit closer to losing the draft than they did before.
Yeah, let's try to find the first driver who is off of the pace of this. And we have the graphic to let you know that exact distance here. That is going to be Grant Brown, 9/10 of a second. Traditionally, and it's usually 7 to 8 tenths. That's where the maximum kind of range begins, so to speak. So it will take a little bit of a suck up. Let's look at what's happening in the rear. I mean, doing the best he can, but iRacing's draft model is somewhat realistic now, where when you have, 25 cars up front, it beats having 14 cars.
Yeah, the more cars, the better. And you'd think with these guys, going 2 and 3 wide would actually slow them down a little bit, but they've done such a good job maintaining their line, not having to get any of those panic lifts, that really they're not slowing each other down too much. So we'll see if that second pack can pull off a miracle like they did earlier in the night, but so far it's not looking good. If they drop out of this pack, that could be disastrous. And it has been a very clean race. You can't rely on cautions. You can't plan on them. You might get one, you never know. But to plan on it when we've gone 16 laps of clean and green racing, you kind of got to expect we're going to stay this way, as we have some extremely close bumper-to-bumper back there, 3 wide. Not sure who that was, the number 78. One of the trucks involved in this pack.
Aaron Johnson.
The 78 and the 18. These two are cutting it close. I don't know if he's trying to side draft or what's going on there, but this might be a situation to watch, Corey.
Yeah, that number 78, akin to B.J. McLeod, having a 78 vehicle with nothing on it. Maybe that's the intent here, trying to, find your presence here, find your team, find your associations. Cody Dempster running right behind in that number 24, and it's just hard to tell, again, who is just stuck. Of course, Cody Dempster there on JRS Racing. It's hard to tell who is stuck and who is just kind of complacent, as it doesn't seem like, in certain leagues, Dirt, in certain official races, it's kind of like you don't go 3 wide, and if you go 3 wide, you're that guy. That vibe is not here today. You can make the move. You can put it where you want to get through the field. So if you're not doing it, it kind of does show a sense of patience and complacency.
Well, it does, and that's the difference between league racing and, just doing a pub lobby on a weekday night. This is area, and with the caliber of drivers you've got in this league, you've got a little bit more trust in the competition. You know that they know what they're doing, and that they are spatially aware, because they're not just letting anybody into this league. You got to have some sort of ability and some sort of something that stands out to get in. And so with that, you can make those 3 wide, hell, even 4 wide moves if you really need to. Whereas you go to a public lobby, you don't know that they know what they're doing. You're probably safe as single file, and even then you might have issues. But we do have a lap truck here. Jeremy Brown, they're 3 wide behind him. Looking back, what is going to happen here? Sticks to his line, doing everything he can. Now, Jeremy not in an enviable position here. There is no room.
Oh.
They're going to squeeze
no,
by
no,
him,
no, no, no.
and the 78 makes contact. That's going to be off the 18, into the 20. The 20 goes upside down. He is end over end. Half of the field is going to be involved in this. There's another truck that looks to be maybe on its side. Couldn't quite make it out. They are scattering. Corey, there is that 20 acres of pavement you were talking about coming in use. Oh, boy.
No.
Poor Jeremy Brown had nowhere to go. It was the instigator of that.
Yeah, I mean, he was just kind of an innocent. He was just doing what he could. They were 3 wide. And here is, look at, that is Ryan Swan flying like a swan there. And that Rick's Hot Sauce number 20 Camaro there. But, I mean, I guess there is naturally, you're not allowed to go below the yellow line. Of course, we all know that. However, I think there would have been a little bit of wiggle room to kind of squeeze down there. You're not intending to make a position gain. But, you know, that's all for here nor there. We'll just get one more look at that. I imagine we'll have a myriad of pit stops on board with Brian Noel here. Let's see what he saw. He was in the back of the pack. This was where you're supposed to be, right?
And he just sees calamity. He's taking it. I like this. He slows way down, basically to a stop. And if he hadn't, he might have got involved. There was a truck that kind of darted out in front of him there. Playing it safe, playing it smart. He is still in the game because of that. I like that move. But as for the Jeremy Brown 4 wide there, Corey, my take on that is, yes, I don't think anybody would have faulted Jeremy for going to the double yellow and getting off the track and letting everybody by. And in fact, in hindsight, that may have been the move to make.
Well, I was saying the inverse. I was going to say if you were 3 wide, that was 4, and you maybe straddled the line for that brief moment or got even a little below just to clear the 4 wide, I think that admin probably would have let that slide. But again, you know how sacred that yellow line is. We are so afraid of it.
Right, and we are. And the thing is, they caught him at the worst time, Corey. They caught him, on that backstretch going into the corner. And I just... Nobody gave. They were 3 wide. Nobody gave a lift. Nobody, really gave an inch there. And unfortunately, you can only fit so many trucks side by side. I think the move for Jeremy would have been to just get to the bottom before they ever got to him. Holding the top was maybe not the best play, but as a lap car, you do have every right to, hold your line and be predictable. That's the only responsibility you have as a lap car, is be predictable. Don't dart out of line. Don't be switching lanes. If they know where you're at, it should be their responsibility to get around you, but overall, it's tough because 3 wide, that sustained for that long, you don't see it very often, and I'm not sure Jeremy Brown really expected that.
Yeah, I think he did basically whatever he was able to do, and, he held his car where it needed to be, and everybody else didn't make the moves appropriately as they needed to be. So is what it is at the end of the day, but that'll be our first caution. We did have some pit stops, a lot of pit stops. Most drivers, again, taking 4 tires and fuel with about 15 seconds. Grant Brown did appear to just drive through the pits without actually making a stop, interestingly enough. So we'll see what happens here. But this does give us some time to just to talk about, again, some of the partners here in the area. You can see the sponsors flowing by on the bottom of the screen. Again, our Central Mobile Homes, they do present the starting grid. They've been proudly serving Florida customers for 29 years. A plethora of small and large home floor plans, shed designs, and Triple Crown trailers in LaBelle, Okeechobee, Clewiston, and Sebring. Central Mobile Homes, Inc. is not actually an active website, but you can get in touch with them via the Facebook, and you can get their number there. So let's see if that does give us 1 to green. It does. It does. There we go. Waiting for those blue lights.
And they are going to get those lights off. They're going to double up, and we'll be back at it coming to lap 23. What a turn of events. So that really unfortunate for the number 20. Very competitive truck. I believe he led a lap or two. And, he's running his race, and then all of a sudden, he's upside down. I mean, that happened so quick. It was such a violent hit. You see that at these tracks sometimes. But there he is still on the track, and I'm glad you panned him, because I was just going to ask Corey, despite the fact that he got hit, despite the fact that he flipped, the truck didn't look that bad. It looked like he got hit in the quarter panel, which is about the best place you can get hit. And it looked like the way that it landed didn't really damage anything underneath the truck. He might have been saved by iRacing netcode slightly. We'll see if he can keep pace with the pack. You can see the right side is dinged up a little bit, but I mean, the fact that he's even out there having been on his roof just moments ago, that is quite something.
Yeah, and as I always like to say, the draft is the best Band-Aid that one could ask for. So the fact that he probably has enough, as long as there's no engine damage, he's probably going to have enough to get himself through the field. And maybe you can't lead the pack, but don't tell Tyler Reddick about that. Sometimes you even can lead the pack, even if you don't have it. So, but we'll see how his race does come to fruition. Shop area, iRacing.com. Again, that's where you can get all your drip merch and all that swag. And I don't know. Why am I trying to be cool as I'm aging close to the age of 40? But that's a podcast topic of which we'll probably never come out with, but it's just a fun line. Maybe I'll put that on a T-shirt. But anyways, Garrett Grant and Zach Carr, not the Australian, on the front row, heading into the United Rentals restart zone.
And the number 5, Garrett Grant, going to lead us to the line. And it's a good jump there. And it's honestly the perfect start. He didn't get too far out where he's giving the drivers behind a massive draft, but he got far out enough that he does have control. He can switch lanes if he needs to, defend that lead. He's got Alex Chilcutt, Zach Carr, Jacob Harberts, and Brad Slaughter behind. Now, Brad Slaughter has been the center point of a lot of interesting moments here, and I'm not just saying that because he was in the center lane. He has been aggressive. He has been real aggressive trying to get up front. Nothing has worked so far. He's kind of been relegated to that 4th, 5th place position all night long, but now he's got that inside line, maybe a little bit better place to be. Interesting to see what he can do, but he's able to go side by side. The outside lane does pull up alongside our leader, and it looks like Zach Carr may actually get a lap led under his belt to the line. It's going to be close.
I don't think so. We'll see. Zach Carr, maybe he did. I guess he did by the looks of it. Let's pull up the tracker. We have the we have the technology, Corey. Why am I guessing? He drops to the bottom of the track. Well, he's led 3 laps, so he's already put that in the column there. But Jacob Harbert's there in that number 80, pardon me. Again, if you watched last night, I don't remember where he was in the mix. He was somewhere in the WAD. And, akin to, what was it, 2012 when Stewart and Michael Waltrip had that wreck at Dega. And I think it was Kenseth and like 2 other cars came out the side of it. That's what happened with Jacob Harberts as he takes the lead. I think he went from probably like 15th or 20th to 2nd off of 4. And that very well could happen tonight.
Yeah, I'm thinking anything could happen. It's Daytona. This is the home of anything can happen. But that 80 is looking pretty good. He's been having competitive speed all night long and pretty good on the paint scheme front as well. I got to say, the spec map on that blue at night under the lights is probably one of the best looking trucks in this field. That is a beautiful paint scheme. And I got to say, I'm quite enjoying it. Looks like a bit of a Dale Jr. reference throwback, maybe.
Yeah, Matt Livery is also in our YouTube chat here, so if you like what you see there, those 609 cars, just go in our YouTube chat and send a message out. In all sincerity, we do need a PTR TV fleet of cars. I do drive quite a bit these days across the NASCAR vehicles, and I just grab random stuff off Trader Paint. If anybody wants to do a PTR TV suite of Chevrolets, slide into our DMs, I think, as they say. But Eli Green, and there we go, LVV number 96, and the Biff style. That's a cool ride right there. Really fits with the numbers, giving that huge push to Jeremy Miller up top.
Yeah, that was quite the run. Jeremy Miller is going to take the lead by quite a bit. Now remember, I believe he was one of the drivers that was a little bit further back, Mr. Miller was, and now he is up towards the front trying to get some laps led, although not going to be made easy by Jacob Harberts. They're going to remain side by side. Eli Green, Zach Carr, Josh Cottle, and oh boy, we got a wreck in the back of the field. That is going to be probably 5 or 6 cars scattered.
Oh, there, Jacob Bell in there. 15, Forrest Smith, Ryan Swan again, Steven Oberstadt. Again, when the boss band's in it, someone's going to get in trouble afterwards, right? I saw the 3-car. I saw the 3 truck. Now, this is in the back, too. This is where the patience is supposed to be, ironically. Oh, some contact there. We'll get a tighter shot of it. But this is where they were just riding, but evidently not. 3 up top. Did he get loose?
Oh.
Or did he get a push from...
that was a shove.
That was Jacob in the 77 behind. No, he got loose, I think.
No. Yeah, that was aero loose, which, we talked about it, Corey. They changed the aero of these trucks. When I say they want to step out, that is exactly what I was talking about. To me, that looked every bit like he got a little bit of a shunt, but there was no contact made. That was just 100% air got taken off the spoiler, and around he went, taking a few cars with him, including Swan, who was that driver upside down not too long ago. And, just a heavy hit from Brown in that 14. And what a defensive piece of driving there from that truck behind him. Made a few bobs and weaves. I think kept himself out of it. But, yeah, just a unfortunate reality with this new aero package, Corey.
Yeah, I mean, what's the biggest topic? I mean, there's a bunch of topics, but what has been one of the biggest topics in the real world here? Well, I'll pause that thought because I thought we had some pit road tomfoolery going on, but everybody will choose to come into the pits and presumably put some fuel on in and perhaps some... tires don't really matter, but if you want the track position, you may put them on or choose to keep them off. Usually it's kind of an alternate strategy of when you pit. Sometimes you take tires. The next stop is fuel only. The subsequent stop would be 4 tires. Looks like most of these drivers choosing fuel only this time around. But back to the point when I was getting at, what is the major point kind of running around the NASCAR garage? And it has to do with Mr. Cletus Garrett Mitchell McFarland there. With, was he qualified? Is he qualified? Should he be in a Nopes car? Should he even be in a truck? And there you go, simulator or not, turn 4 at Daytona. Dirt, I'll even go back to NASCAR Thunder 2004 on the console. Turn 4 at Daytona has always been difficult, and it doesn't matter who you are not immune to it.
Yeah, I remember back on NASCAR 2005, Chase for the Cup, the AI didn't get tire wear, and the player did. And when your tires were worn at Daytona, coming out of turn 4 was a nightmare. You had to make sure that you were as low as possible because that car was going to try to kick the rear end out, and you'd have to bring it all the way up to the wall to catch it. And I cannot tell you how many races in that game I lost because coming out of turn 4, the car just broke a little loose. The AI jumped on it, and funny enough,
let alone the sun too.
Years later, right. And 20 years later in the sim, it's doing the exact same thing for a different reason, of course. The aero package here, just simulating real life maybe a little bit too well.
Absolutely, and I've had some conversations with other partners that I run with in various leagues, but well, if you're watching this live, which a lot of you are, and if you have, we would appreciate, again, a sub and hitting that subscribe button for us. And if you're on Twitch, again, consider the partnership over there. It is springtime. It is officially springtime here. Summer is right around the corner, and if you have a pool, you might want to bring it to life here with Blue Tip Pool Builders. Customize your pool to any unique style and aesthetic. They deliver skilled craftsmen and high cutting edge technology to bring your pool to life. No room for a pool, no problem. They specialize in outdoor living spaces to bring together dynamic lounging areas, outdoor kitchens, and more. Go to bluetippools.com for more info. I'm not usually a swimmer myself, but I do fancy having a nice loungy outdoor area. Get me a Pit Boss smoker, get me an outdoor TV, get me a fire pit, and I ain't leaving.
Yeah, I agree. Nothing better than a nice fire pit, and the weather is getting to that point where pretty soon we'll be sitting around some fires and warming up a little bit pretty much across the country. So, where I'm at is a little bit delayed. It was pretty cold today, but looking forward to fire pit weather. Either way, lights. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm saying Mr. Beckner here. I mean, last night we saw this on the green-white checker running the apron to save fuel, but Beckner running the apron to save fuel now. Or for some reason or another. Maybe trying to cool the tires down. I don't know how much effect it has. And small point as well. This is our first ever truck broadcast with the Dodge Ram in there. So that is a slick ride. I know we were just talking about spec maps. Look at that number 28, that red, white, and blue. I mean, that would be perfect for a Charlotte Memorial Day scheme. Again, Henry County, one of the major partners here with Area. But
yeah, that is a good-looking car. I'm always a little bit partial to the red, white, and blue cars, and that one's got quite a spec map on it and a very intricate design. I've always been more for simplicity. Give me a few horizontal lines, and I'm good for that. But a complex scheme like that, when it's done right, can look beautiful, and that one does. A lot of good-looking trucks in the field. Pace truck looking like it's going to pull down a pit road, and away we will go. It's going to be Jeremy Miller, I believe, as the lead truck, choosing the outside groove, and a healthy shove from the 96 Eli Green. He's going to get those two out of the way. There's number 13, trying to get to that third step on the podium, and oh my goodness, the 30, I don't know if that was on purpose or not. He might have just kind of stepped out of lane a little bit. That opens the door to Eli Green for the first time tonight, that 96, with that Greg Biffle throwback font, and maybe even the whole paint scheme looks like Greg Biffle is going to lead the way here at Daytona. But maybe a bit of a switchback. The 30 goes to the low groove, the 80 goes up high. It is the revolving door, Corey. How many times have we seen this?
And it will continue until lap 90 and potentially even over that if necessary. But Josh Caudell, he's an open driver right now, and he deserves to be on a team with how he's driving, getting himself up there in the mix. And you can see we have some 3 wide in the back. Rick's Hot Sauce with Ryan Swan. He was driving a Blue Chip Pool Builders car last night, but representing Rick's Hot Sauce here today. I will do that ad read a little bit later because we have a lot of stuff going on. The Biff to the outside in the form of Eli Green. But here is Jeremy Miller with Caudell to the bottom, with Zach Carr, with the 55 truck of Josh Parrish as well, who is in the middle. So, again, no room for patience right now. They are going at it. And just for knowledge as well, folks, if this goes green, we probably have a one-stop race on our hands till lap 70 being the end of that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Obviously, the caution's kind of changing up the strategy and the pit sequence from what it would have been. Kind of timed interestingly as well. But we're back to that 3-wide racing, and it is 3 wide, pretty much 4 rows deep, maybe 5. The 55 has been quite active as far as 3-wide racing. He was in the middle groove earlier, now he's on the outside. Now riding on board with the number 49, Garrett Conrad. He is just in the hornet's nest. This is what these drivers are seeing. When we talk about how scary that middle groove is, this is why. You got trucks high, you got trucks low, you got trucks in front, you got trucks behind. You make one wrong flick of the steering wheel, Corey, and it's just going to be calamity corner. But luckily, again, the talent in this field is second to none. These guys, they know how to navigate these trucks. The number 60, placing a lot of faith in the trucks behind. He dove down to that bottom groove, just barely slotted himself in. You're going to see a lot of that.
And of course, the driver we were just following, Garrett Conrad, for a low-dollar racing last season's champion. So as someone you expect to see working his way through, started a little bit, well, he's kind of been running mid most of the race, but now in the middle trying to work his way through. And this is a point I brought up last night, Dirt, and it's very important in these draft-style races. It's good to have a full cycle of to the front, to the back, back to the front, and the inverse. You kind of like to have a time frame of, if I really need to go from one direction to the other, about how long is it going to take? So that way you can kind of plan your late race maneuvers accordingly.
Yeah, you can't be too forward thinking. They say that these plate races are sort of 5 chess at high speed, and thinking ahead could be the difference between winning this thing and wrecking out. So plan ahead, plan to make that move, and hopefully it all works out. But these guys don't look as stable as they did the first time we were jostling around. We're getting a lot of separation between trucks, and I think it's because some guys are starting to feel a little bit intimidated as into the wall. Garrett Grant in that number 5, I believe. No, I'm sorry.
13 with Caudell, that black car.
Yeah, the number 13.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy, do not go 4 wide. That doesn't work.
That was about to be a push gone bad. It was either going to be 4 wide, it was looking for air, or it was just, I don't know what it was, but I'm glad it didn't happen, because 4 wide at Daytona, while is it physically possible? Yes. The finesse and the perfection it takes is beyond what is usually possible here on the simulator for a sustained period of time. So let's get it down to 3. When we head to Talladega at some point during the course of the season, I don't know that exact date offhand, but I'm sure it's there. Then we can entertain that 4 wide move. But for today, let's keep this 3 up and going. Lap number 35 on the board. And, that was very briefly a 3 wide with the 55 of Parrish looking for the move. But the 24 of Cody Dempster was to the outside.
Yeah, like I said, Corey, they're not looking as stable. These guys look anything but comfortable, and I don't know if that's coming down to tire wear. I don't know if it's coming down to increased aggression or what exactly is causing it, but these guys look like they're all over the place. They're trying to draft a Caterpillar out there just up and down, left and right. And so far, the 30 has the best seat in the house. He's been in the front pretty much the entire time. A little bit of help from Zach Carr there in P2, but everybody behind those 2 drivers, it has just been a carousel. They've been going back and forth, switching lanes, switching positions, making contact, rubbing the wall, just really trying to wreck, but so far they have not succeeded. They've been able to keep it going in the right direction somehow or another, but the aggression levels really cranking up. We're not even halfway yet, Corey. It's going to be another 10 laps before we get halfway. And these guys are driving like there's a portal on the backstretch. It's going to take them to lap 90.
Well, Dirt, we're going to do something very risky here, and this is something that every time we do, it usually goes astray. But we're going to try it here today. We're going to go and crank it up and do some temporarily loud engines. Well, do I take blame for that one?
I'm going to say yes.
Did I say temporarily loud engines typically brings a caution flag? And what would it be if someone didn't prove me right? Oh my goodness, almost airborne there was the 12 of Carson Burrows. And even the 12,000 acres of runoff pavement was not safe. And is that Ryan Swan for a 3rd time?
Oh no, not Mr. Swan.
It's not your day. It's not your day. 55 went down into the 12. And it's really about all she wrote there. And one more look at it.
Ryan Swan having a terrible time tonight, getting caught up in things. We're going to kind of follow along here. That number 12 nearly getting airborne. It looked almost like a blowover, although the truck does not have the blowover active on iRacing, so it was just kind of a quirk of the physics engine there, and riding on board with that 55, just ping-ponging back and forth. And the 20.
Poor Ryan.
Able to avoid any substantial damage, luckily.
Yeah, I think he just got hit by that black truck there to the inside.
Now, hold on a minute, Corey. I think that was a blowover. I didn't know trucks could do that.
Well, we got one more look at it. Yeah, that is another wreck here on the day, and that will change us in our sequence of how this end of the race is going to fare. We'll be about 10 laps short at this juncture, approximately, so still going to need a little bit to get us to the end, but coming down in the pits again, I mean, I imagine 4 tires, fuel, if not, at the very least, some fuel-only stops, some damage repair, a bunch of things to be had. We'll watch to see whose jack goes up, just for the sake of track position. Couple going up, but for the most part, here's the dangerous part. When you have the fuel-onlys, you have people leaving while people are still entering. That is always a fun, except not really, place to be.
Yeah, pit road at Daytona is not a fun place to be in general. You get mixed up like that, it becomes even less fun. But luckily, I don't think we had any major issues. Everybody got out in the way, no problem there. So, I don't think this puts us in fuel-saving territory, Corey. I mean, 10 laps, you're not going to save that at Daytona. I don't care how much half throttle you're doing. You're just not going to save that much. So these guys probably still going to be going full bore once that green drops. Question is, if we make it to that pit stop and we stay green, how rusty are these guys going to be at a green flag pit stop? Because we've had cautions that have kind of spaced it out. It could be a bit of a challenge for them.
I mean, you saw last night, again, drivers of, Coca-Cola Series status, Kwame Scott, he, at the money time pit stop with 20 to go, self-spun it. We saw about 3 or 4 of those situations happen. So I definitely would expect someone to screw up, whether it be a black flag or a spin. But, I mean, that's why I put the asterisk on practice your green flag stops, because you never know if you're actually even going to have one. Point that we've been bringing up all race is Ryan Swan and the fact that he has had the luck there of nobody. But he does have a sponsor on his truck, so at least we got to get that out there. rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made in South Florida. Try Lokahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. Rick's Hot Sauce will be sponsoring the Area Cup Series Rookie of the Year battle, which is about 9 or 10 drivers fighting for what will be a $100 rookie prize. I did look at the website. I will almost bet the farm I'm going to place an order, although I'm the only one in the house that likes hot sauce. But there's nothing like a breakfast sandwich with hot sauce on it, and you will not talk me out of it.
I'm going to respectfully agree to disagree. Breakfast sandwich and hot sauce doesn't really seem like a combo for me, but, some people like hot sauce on everything. There's just
like that old lady.
It's become very popular.
I put that bleep on everything. I mean, eggs and a scramble, a hot sauce with omelet. Yeah, I love hot sauce so much. I have to have an omelet just to have my hot sauce. But cheeseburger on occasion, a nice sriracha burger. I tell you a story. I went to Costco the other day. I don't get to go a lot. It's kind of a trip to get there. They actually gave buffalo wings as a free sample as the plane lands in the backdrop. Like a full-blown, here you go, sir. Here is a full buffalo chicken wing as a free sample. Went twice. Basically had free lunch and then got my $1.50 hot dog. So that's my Costco story. It's still new to me. I've only gone about 4 times. But we're closing in on halfway.
Yeah, yep. We are getting close. Lap 45 will be that halfway mark. And it started out so clean. I was really impressed. Now we're kind of getting to where the aggression's going up. Still not what I would classify as a caution fest. I think it's been pretty reasonable, the amount of yellows, but you can see where it's headed. You can see that aggression really cranking up, and I think at this point these drivers have 2 options, Corey. They can see where this added aggression is leading, and they can calm down, or they can say, screw it, we're close enough to the end, it is go time. I'm curious to see what they choose. I'm sure the drivers up front are hoping that things stay calm, but it's Daytona, man. You never know which direction it's going to go. And as Barney's got the green flag in hand, we're all about to find out, same as the viewers at home, same as the drivers in this seat, where this race is headed. To the green, Jeremy Miller in the number 30 for the third time is going to lead a restart and get a good shove on that outside grid.
Oh, jeepers.
Okay, well.
Thought we'd at least get up to speed.
Yeah, I didn't really expect that. That was not on the bingo card. But these restarts are tough. They are. They're very tough.
Oh, there was a stack up behind the 20 truck of all trucks, Ryan Swan. I'm not sure if that's what it was, but that is where I saw the stack up at least. We'll take
I saw the same thing.
On board with Ryan here. Oh, yeah, he had to stop.
Oh.
And then it was just right behind him.
Yeah, I wondered for a minute if he maybe had damage and that's why he didn't go, but no, it was the truck ahead of him. He had a little bit of a
Hayden swing. Oh, 77. Was that Jacob? No, that was not Jacob. That was Nerney who had a... I know, Derek, you did the research on it. Why do we call it a lick? But that was a pretty bad lick by Nerney.
I'm surprised you remember that because I don't remember what the answer was. I just remember popping a good like 3 years ago.
Oh, dude, the pace truck just got. We're going to need a backup pace truck too.
You know, bad week for the pace truck. First, it was the pace truck at Las Vegas in real life. Now it's the one in area truck series getting a little bit of flack. They're not safe out here.
All right. Well, at this juncture in the race where we just had another caution, we are going to cut to a side-by-side break. It's either going to be random autocross race cars or some Whiplash SimCam commercials. Take your pick, but either way, we'll be back with you for the restart. All right. Hope you enjoyed that random racing autocross there, but the Truck Series area division, race number 1 here at Daytona. We are just slightly past the halfway point here. The cautions are starting to pour on a little bit heavy on the second half of this race, but we do have some fuel saving going on there that you pointed out. These drivers are presumably trying to make the end of this race more than we would have thought, but they're at least trying.
And we are going to be at the halfway point as we take the green. And, despite all the accidents, again, these trucks are pretty hardy. We've not had too much attrition. A lot of these drivers that have been involved are still on the track as we get out to another restart. Jeremy Miller going to decide to take the low line this time, and not taking that high groove that he had before. But it works out just the same. He is still going to be P1. Internet issues for Kyle Taub. I'm not entirely certain, but he is blinking in and out. The scoring pylon didn't even know what to make of him, but he is evened out, it seems. The connection has stabilized. The old internet is firing on all cylinders. The hamster is running in the wheel, and he is all right. The 96 was involved in a little bit of a scuffle earlier. He's back on the outside, trying to get back out front. He got to the front. I do not believe he was able to lead a lap in its entirety, though, while he was up there. So a lot of drivers that we know have speed, and there we go, 3 wide already. The fuel saving is interesting, Corey, because me personally, the way things have been going, I'm planning on a few more yellows, but these guys apparently have faith in it. We're going to be going green, that fuel saving is going to be worth it. So maybe that's an indicator these guys are going to calm it down a little bit.
We'll see here. You can see 7 laps on the bottom of the ticker. You can see some drivers with lower numbers. That means they topped off at the last caution. There was a black flag mixed in there at the bottom of the shot. That is Aaron Johnson in the 78, I believe, had a black flag. But in the pits, I thought I saw one on Dante Curtis as well. Dante is still on the track, though that may have been cleared, I believe. Not quite sure. But anyways, we get to a point in every race there where we always say, all right, you know what? There was a lot of cautions. They're gonna log some laps now. They're gonna get this thing through. Clearly, us old guys and our old mentality is not applicable to how this race is going. This is go 100% of the time.
Yeah. Also want to point out there is a black flag out for Curtis, it seems, towards the back field. Not sure what that was for, but I did notice it on the scoring pylon. But I think the patience mentality is kind of less common in sim and in real life. I think that as the years have progressed, drivers have decided that aggression is the way to go, and it is a competition.
Oh gosh!
Oh boy! Speaking of aggression,
Dawson Miller
is going to be calibrating that outside wall in that Sharpie Kurt Busch-esque scheme. Now let's play everybody's favorite game. Was it a bad bump?
In the middle, he just slowly washed up into, who is that? 609 truck. Couldn't quite make out who that was in that 609 truck there. Should know. I feel like we've seen it over and over again, but yeah, just came on up there, and that's Alex. That's not Alex Chilcutt. Who the heck was that? I don't know. We'll figure it out. But anyways, that puts us under caution once again.
Yeah, just a little bit of spatial awareness issue there. You're going to have that every now and again at Daytona. It's tough to tell sometimes, and everybody in the sim, they've always got different settings for their FOVs and for their mirror and their ride height as far as where their driver is sitting, how high they are. And sometimes all of that can make it pretty difficult. And I know that, when you're playing on a single monitor, knowing exactly where somebody is on the inside or outside, not super easy. I know that iRacing has recently added little indicators. I noticed that watching a buddy of mine do a race in Gen 4 the other day. There's little indicators now that show you car high, car low, but I did notice they were a little bit delayed as far as when my friend was using them. So Again, it's hard to rely on any information in game. It's always going to be a little bit behind. A live spotter is the way to go, but not everybody's going to have one.
Absolutely. I tried to use that myself. It's not, as I said, it's not a radar per se, but it just kind of gives you that proximity. Maybe the audio file for the spotter didn't load in yet, and it just kind of gives you that instant little knowledge to, should I give way, should I not? And you can kind of fine tune it to where you want it to be. But as you can see, the drivers going on the flat here. Let's just kind of pull up our Whiplash onboard telemetry here, and you can see 2,500. They are clutching these things. Now, it means one of two things, and I guess we may as well fully divulge it. It could be, yes, they're trying to save to the end, or it could be they're just trying to put as little in as possible for when they do choose to pit, which apparently is right now.
Yeah, maybe just trying to get the faster pit stop, and from here, I would think they're good. They got to go about 40 laps, and we're going to be pacing for another one or two of those. If they're in the draft and they're doing a little bit of saving when and where they can, I think they can make it. It's going to be close. We have a little bit of a scuffle there on pit road to rewind. That was actually very good spatial awareness. You saw that 96 immediately duck out wide, avoiding contact there. That was a good move. And for a pit road that busy, I'm pretty surprised by the courtesy we saw by everybody.
You can see there the pit stop times. 6 seconds, least amount of fuel going to Zach Carr, 5.6 going down the line there. Jeremy Brown, 5.3. So, and then you can see Logan Hartman, 8.4, and that's something that came up last night. There was some of these drivers last night, well, not these ones, but, just the drivers in the race last night. They didn't accommodate for the green-white checker, and they were ultimately struggling to make it. I mean, you think of a couple real-life examples. You think of the Brickyard, where Bubba Wallace won, on fumes. You think of the Nashville race with 5 overtimes. Is it better to shorten the pit stop? Is it better to run the chicane? Don't see that one every day. Is it better to plan for, I'm sorry, I'm just caught off. Is it better to run to regulation, or is it better to give yourself the buffer in case overtime happens?
Well, given the frequency we're getting cautions at now, I think planning for the buffer, planning for those GWCs is probably the smart move. We're going to go on board. Just, he identifies as a sports car driver, wants to take the 24 hours of Daytona route there, and able to get that done. I used to do that on Dirt to Daytona. I'd always take the chicane at New Hampshire. Whenever I'd get a big enough lead, I'd just start taking that chicane on the backstretch. And I feel like that's something that everybody does in these sims. If there's a chicane, we're going to take it.
Oh my God, that is one of the best road course layouts in the service. If only it was a little bit wider, I'd say, let's just run the Cup cars there. That would be a deal. But here comes what presumably is the top-off group. Now, this would be 38 to go. So in my not crew chief opinion, this should put you to the end with relative ease, because at this point you're going to be in the pack, and as we know, in the pack you're going to save more fuel than if you're up front, making the moves, slicing and dicing. So I would imagine this should get them to the end, more so than everybody else. But again, 38 to go, 40 to go. I think most people should be safe, probably unless the leader is stuck up front for the whole time. He might struggle.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see if Jeremy Miller, who has led so many laps, and I think he's got a really good car for the lead. I think that truck is very comfortable out front. I'm curious if he sacrifices that in the name of trying to save some fuel, if he lets somebody else get up there and make that sacrifice, burning up their equipment.
Jeepers, here goes again.
But yeah, here we go. We're not just warming up the tires. We are obliterating the tires, weaving not much. And then, we're not even the
slow down penalty.
Oh boy,
Course cut.
Didn't clear the chicane. They say you cut the course. You got to give up the time game.
You just beat me to it. Gosh darn it! I was gonna do it in the Australian accent. They say you cut the course. You got to get. I don't race enough. I don't even know the second half of the line. But anywho, Zach. I almost said Zach Brown. A little bit of chicken there. Zach Carr leading this thing. Put some hot sauce on your fried chicken. And don't spill it on your area iRacing.com t-shirt. designed by the Studio Temporary. And we got to thank them for their Cup Series. They did a phenomenal job rebranding, and that new area truck series red and black logo looks amazing here on the slightly updated ticker here on PTR TV. But let's head into that restart box. The flash bulbs go off in the stands, and that outside lane ready to pounce. Miller and Green.
I could have swore I heard the tire sliding sound there. I thought there was going to be a wreck in the back of the field, but that might have just been some wheel spin I was hearing without incident, because they are all in line. Everything's good to go. Jeremy Miller is still leading the way. Eli Green on that outside, trying to get that lap lead maybe. He is back to the front. Been a little while since he's been on this front row, but here he is after a little bit of time, relegated to the mid-pack, and he's going to dive down low. The 28 takes the high line, and Travis Beckner throwing his hat into the ring, trying to make his presence known, and he's got a little bit of help from behind. I believe it is Garrett Conrad giving him a shove in the 49, and I think Beckner's going to lead this lap. And, you know, I don't think it's a coincidence, Corey, we're seeing Jeremy Miller drop back when he's been so dominant all night long. I think this is by design. He said, you know what, let me save some fuel. And now, that responsibility of towing the pack around, that's going to Beckner and Conrad.
Absolutely. Conrad, again, our champion here, someone you expect to be up front. We saw him up 20 spots or so on the day, and now when crunch time comes, he wants to be up there. Now we're tight 3 wide. That was contact 77 of Jacob Bell. Remember, he's been in some issues here today, but no significant damage to work through, and he's managed to repair it and keep himself right in the thick of things here. And the 3 truck just ahead, that's Steven Oberstadt, and doing a great job there. And again, if you like what you see here, you can stay tuned. Again, we'll be back live on Thursday. Me and Hunter will be covering the Florida State Builders Pro Series here, wrapping up Speed Weeks 4 area. And then next week, we will continue our Florida visit to start the season. We're going to be heading down to Miami, where the players play down there at Homestead, Miami. So if you like what you see, next week we might be 3 wide, but about 50 mile an hour slower at the intermediate.
You know, I think these guys are probably wishing they could go about 50 mile an hour slower with the saving that we're seeing going on right now. But they got to maintain some
Ryan
sort of
Swan isn't. Look at him. How many wrecks has he been in tonight?
He has been in 3 individual wrecks, one of which he was upside down on his roof. And now he is going to surge to the front. That is going to be the lead, at least momentarily, for a driver who flipped and landed on all fours. That's a lap lead for the number 20. What a recovery this has been. I'm not saying it's going to happen, and I don't want to jinx it, Corey, but could you imagine if we saw a flip and win tonight?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen. I've said spin and win, and we've seen them happen a few times over the course of the many races we cover here on PTR TV. But I have never seen a truck or car, for that matter, be upside down without a backup truck. I mean, it's one thing if you have a backup. All right, that's kind of the cheat code, but that is not applicable. That is just perseverance, damage repair, and putting yourself in a good spot there for Ryan Swan. So, but a lot of time still to go here. 34 laps, which is about a half hour's worth of action, which a half hour's racing at Daytona. This may as well be like 4 hours of racing at Pocono in relative terms.
And the 44 goes from the extreme high side all the way down to the bottom, then back to the middle. Corey Bodie gets a lap lead again, and he is just trying to block. He actually seems to want to lead this race. He is preventing any and all runs from getting around him now. They are 3 wide behind him, and this 3 wide seems to be a little bit more orderly on account of a lot of these riders are probably saving. But keep an eye out for that number 18, Joseph Swan. Joseph was also involved in an incident earlier tonight, and it's been a long road back through the pack up towards the front, and it seems like that truck's got a lot of speed if he chooses to use it, but right now probably content where he's at. The 81 going to come up inside, dropping Brad Slaughter again. Brad has had a lot of scary moments. He's gotten loose, and definitely just like that right there made me nervous a few times, and he is continuing to do so.
Now that's I-90 pseudo Sleppy Motorsports, so Hunter going to be really hoping that number 18 does something nice, but hopefully something nice just means go straight, because as you said, we're 3 wide. We haven't really seen many examples of traffic cop here today, elevator moves, those were huge here in the next gen races we've covered already this season. But right now, I think Brad Slaughter trying to play that elevator cop right there all the way to the top. Oh, Swan, stay solid. Don't squeeze a 4 wide here. Jeremy Miller in the middle. And Jacob Bell, when was the last time a league owner won a race here on PTR TV Dirt? I don't think it's ever happened.
Yeah, I can't say that it has, but it's looking to happen tonight. This has been a unpredictable race. Again, like we said before, Daytona is the home of anything can happen. And yet here we are, the 18 again. That is a driver that is looking a little unsteady. Like I said, he's got some speed, but repeatedly he's kind of weaving back and forth, giving me some anxiety here. Is the number 30 now going to get a big shot to Brad Slaughter? They're going to pull ahead slightly in this middle group of cars. This middle group, it's number 77, Jacob Bell behind him. Oh boy, it is just all over. Cars ducking in for position, trying to do what they can. And again, Corey, that 18 is scaring me, man. You see that wiggle he just had?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you got to give these guys credit for being as stable as they are. Now let's talk about someone we haven't talked about. Well, no, that's a lie. We talked about him because he was running the Le Mans chicane down the back straightaway. Highly not recommended to do so right now as the leader of the race, at least in provisional manner there. Nicholas Renner getting the push from behind with Corey Bodie in the 44. Brad Slaughter, oh my goodness.
I don't think they can keep this up. This is absolute insanity. Going to go to a replay. The 81 with a bad shot off the bumper of the 30. Comes down 3 lanes. He gathers it up just in the nick of time. Keeps it off the door of the 75. Oh my goodness. What a recovery that was. That could have been far worse than it was. But somehow Brad Slaughter, he's got a lot of control of that truck. And back to the front goes Jeremy Miller. I'm curious to see if he wants to stay there or if he's maybe just trying to get away from the chaos that is transpiring. More of a wiggle, the 18 and the 81.
Oh, not done yet.
Big shot from the 77. Yeah, we're not done. This is, I mean, how long can they maintain this?
Probably about 74 seconds. That's about as long as I'm giving it there. There's Jacob Bell in the middle, still 3 wide. And I see a lapper just in front. That's Carson Burrows here. How did this happen last time when we saw a lapper when we were 3 by 3? It didn't end favorably. Now, I'm hoping, because he's significantly off the pace, that he will go down to the flat. Let's at least hope that that's what happens. Please go to the flat. Please go to the flat. Please, please, please. Please. Okay, he heard us.
And that is lessons learned. I think that rapper saw what happened. Oh boy, but he is loose down there. That is something that I'll tell you, there is no grip. And he did get a little sideways. He was able to gather it up. And I think he's going to be able to stay in the draft if he's lucky. But as I said, that is lessons learned. He saw what happened with Jeremy Brown earlier in the night. Decided not to repeat that mistake. And what is this separation? What is going on here, Corey? We've almost got tandem drafting. Sans 2011. What on earth is going on up front?
Well, I mean, you could do it in very short order. It usually just doesn't last in Atlanta. These moves are shaking and baking there. That yellow car, Zach Carr. I mean, yellow car. I mean, I guess I'm allowed to call him a car. It's his last name, but he went low high very, very quickly. I mean, if you're going to hit the gap, you got to hit him quick. And who is that just behind in the middle of the sandwich? That vehicle is Cody Dempster, currently in the middle with very little help. And I'm going to say this looks calm. This is probably the calmest we've seen since the opening of the race, and this is nothing but.
Yeah, this is probably the best situation they've been in. Still a little bit sketchy. You see him kind of weaving back and forth a little bit, but at least we're not 3 and even 4 wide. We've kind of brought down to 2 wide and less than 30 to go here. It is, in fact, going to be 27 laps remaining, which is not the longest amount of time, but definitely the amount of time you got to at least still be patient. You're not going to win the race right now, so you want to try to keep that truck pointed in the right direction. And so far, this lead pack has done it. They tried to wreck. Boy, we had some scary moments, but things have calmed down a little bit, and I think overall they are finally settling in. Now, this outside group of cars is kind of interesting. The 44 and the 35, they had a couple opportunities earlier to drop down. They declined to do so. I think they feel like there is something to be gained up there.
I mean, there could be for now. It usually takes a little bit more than 3 trucks, but we've seen drivers decide to change on the fly here. But you can see now we have a break. I mean, we're engaging Kelly Clarkson because we have a little bit of a breakaway here up top, up front, but that's not going to last. There is a tandem there. It's Slaughter and Miller doing a tandem move there through the middle, trying to clear, because if they can clear, puts them to the bottom and they can get some of that draft off of Jacob Bell. But there is the 3, really with no help. Steven Oberstad, I haven't talked about him in a while. All the while, they're both closing in on Jacob Bell to eradicate that breakaway.
Trying to eradicate it indeed, and they will succeed, but single file up front is going to be double file a little bit further back, including Jeremy Miller, who led so many laps. But
what is this, Dirt? What is this?
This is patience, because what this is for the first time all night.
But why now? Is this fuel saving?
You know, I can't imagine that it is.
We're gonna race like raging monkeys on lap 2 and then go single file with 20 to go. I know I'm a boomer, but make it make sense. Unless it's here they go. They got sick of that real quick.
Well, here's what I'm wondering, because we are still too wide. Oh boy, yeah, that's kind of getting a little crazy, but I'm wondering if they've realized that they're going to have to pit no matter how much they save, and so they're trying to get to the bottom so that when the time does come, they're not stuck on that high lane. That could very well be a possibility. Again, it was kind of on the edge, even with the cautions we had, so who knows how much fuel they're using. And I know that with all these shifting positions, a lot of these trucks up front, Brad Slaughter, Jeremy Miller, Danny Ware, Corey Bodie, Zach Carr, all of these drivers have led the pack at one point or another. They've burned up more fuel than they probably intended. So we don't know exactly what the situation is, but just judging on how they're driving, it looks to me like they are planning on a stop.
I mean, I'd imagine so. And then, it's only going to be a couple seconds at most, 2-3 seconds of fuel. And last night we saw with pit stops, we saw 2 or 3 cars come at a time. A couple penalties happened. A couple of drivers missed their stop, didn't execute. Those caused longer breakaways, kept you away from the pack and caused you to lose the lead draft. So that would be a money time pit stop if that is to happen. We weren't really privy to any specific information. We're just going on trends of the past. And we went green with about 40 laps to go. I would think that's doable, but again, we don't know. So if you know in the chat, please advise to us. But again, this is the calmest we've been in the entirety of the 68. Thank goodness we elapsed that number. 68 laps we've run so far.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out, because we're a little bit in the dark here. But Brad Slaughter going to get another lap lead, another notch in the belt. So we'll see how it all plays out. But a lot more patience, a lot more single file as we are on lap 69 out of 90, coming to 21 to go with the line when they get to it. But we're really getting down to the end of this thing. Again, if there is going to be any pit stops, it's going to be very short pit stops. It'll be a quick splash of fuel, and these guys are going to want to get out as quickly as they can. And with these drivers being single file, it also kind of increases the chances we get to a potential green flag stop, because we're not going to see as many yellows or have opportunities for yellows like when they were 3-4 wide and getting really dicey. So pretty much a train from the front to the back. Only a few stragglers on the outside towards the front, but everybody else just chilling. And that number 20, Ryan Swan, he's 8th in line right now. Again, remember this driver up and over earlier in the night. He is the second car on the bottom groove. And what a recovery it has been. He's in good position. Again, it's hard to make any predictions, Corey, because we just don't know enough data here on fuel or whatever else.
Yep, and Sleppy Motorsports there, number 20. So, again, another one of those drivers that Hunter is going for as he'll change lanes there. Press 2 on the elevator up to floor 2, goes to the top, and Garrett Grant to the bottom. Speaking of Grant, remember Grant Brown was heavily damaged. He is the last car on the lead lap, last truck on the lead lap, 24 seconds back. Does have a trio to work with in the form of Nerney and in the form of Aaron Johnson, so not going as slow, looking for that caution. But do you want the caution? Do you not? We are now 20 laps to go, about 15 minutes of racing. We're doing that old Dale Jr. 2007 to 2010. We're ripping the top voluntarily. That's not something you see too often on the service, but it has been more common as of late. Yeah, update dirt. Sorry to cut you off, but we are getting live updates in our YouTube chat. We appreciate our viewers here. A lot of drivers reporting 2 laps short.
Okay, that is definitely why we're seeing what we're seeing, Ben. 2 laps short is a tough situation. That's close enough that I don't think they're going to pit. But it's not close enough that they're guaranteed to make it even if they save. This puts these guys in a very, very precarious situation. And, the fact that they're all kind of in that situation and all agreed that they're going to try and save a little bit, that helps. But
why is he down there? Renner all the way down to the flat. He's not out of fuel. He can't be.
No, I don't think he is. But maybe just trying to guarantee he's on the bottom. I don't know.
Yeah, he's down to the bottom.
Could have been a bad push.
Yeah, he lost a ton of time here. I'm just trying to go through and just get some different perspectives on the mileage and the RPMs that these drivers are pulling right here. 6,800, that's about what they were pulling on the bottom. And then when you go all the way into the back, maybe like Chase Swank there in the 71. Let's see what he's doing there on the Whiplash telemetry, 6,800. So nobody's really doing anything completely egregious, but again, that's the beauty of the draft, is we can't see the throttle input there, but you can be running the same speed here back in 22nd, but only running 30% of the throttle when you have to do 80% of the throttle up front for it.
Yeah, and that's going to be all the difference in the world when we're talking about a matter of being 2 laps short. That's a big difference. Brad Slaughter kind of at a disadvantage here. Jeremy Miller, on the other hand, getting a nice tow. This is something, and that 20 on that inside, he's burning fuel too. He didn't have anybody to really pull him around. Everybody else is kind of ducked out of line. Unfortunate situation there. Now he's got the 77 pushing him, Jacob Bell. Jacob's been real aggressive with the pushes tonight. He's a good pusher, but I don't think there's anything to really push here. I mean, you're riding around partial throttle. It's not really going to gain you much. Doing so as Jeremy Miller slides into frame. He's done that a couple times tonight. And look at that, he's going to bring the 20 pretty much straight to the front. That draft brought them from 3 truck lengths back pretty much to the front, just like that. And that is the power of the draft.
I figure you'd appreciate his driver photo.
I do indeed. That is a phenomenal photo.
It looks like a Busch Lime too. It does look green, so I know that might be what takes you over the edge there. We do have, I think it's Carson again. Last time he pulled to the bottom, but he caught him on the straightaway last time. He's catching them in the corner. This may be deja vu. We are 3 wide, deeper in the pack. I think he may luck out and get most of them on the straight. Yes, thank you.
Good timing, good timing. And again, it's so difficult for these lap trucks, and it's nothing you can do. Like, if your truck is damaged or you don't have the draft, they're going to catch you. There's nothing you can do to prevent that. And when they catch you, it's just a flip of the coin. As ABBA would say, the gods may throw a dice. And, well, sometimes it lands on a good roll. Sometimes they catch you in the corner, and that's not so good.
That is not good indeed. Getting some more insight here from our chat. That Jeremy Miller may be a lap and a half short, but either way, I mean, that's still, 4 miles you have to save. That is a lot of time, especially when you're leader of the pack. Maybe someone such as a Garrett Conrad. Remember, he was up front earlier, but not right now. You have Logan Hartman, someone that 86 right in the middle of the pack. Maybe these are the drivers that you could look at to save The 96, Eli Green, he's been up front, but, currently just kind of cruising. Actually, maybe Josh Parrish. He hasn't really been someone to make a move and get up front. He may be one of the most advantageous drivers, but you kind of have to have someone else who can also save because you don't really want to do it yourself.
Yeah, it's you want somebody else to do the hard work for you for sure, and unfortunately, it's this isn't risk. This isn't a game of diplomacy. I think everybody's kind of every man for themselves.
Oh, here we go.
Oh boy! Well, there's the caution that they needed. Fuel is no longer an issue.
All that strategy, all that drama, equals with Josh Parrish. Minimal damage, so he should be able to carry on, but. We gonna have a cluster now, and fuel ain't gonna matter. What happened? Multifaceted there. I think we have to look at what happened in front before we look at what happened in the back. Big stack up here. Big stack up in front, and then I think ultimately that kind of put Garrett Grant in a very precarious position there in that number 5 truck.
I think it happened in front of the 20. We'll take a look at the replay here. It might have been the 30 lifting off, or maybe. No.
Banking kind of got in the way there. This one should show from a different perspective. 86 into the 96, and that kind of stacked up and caused a slow up.
Well, the cause of it there, I don't know if you saw that, the 20 car, I think it got arrow loose. A little bit of a lift right. Oh, we got away from it.
Just trying to show here the 96 of. Yeah, watch the 86 and the 96. Well, actually, even the 27 kind of started that as well. So it was really just a big checkup deal. And unfortunately for Josh Parrish, he will go around here, and then that's all she wrote for that. Again, it was really only a single truck spin. Let's have a running tally this season. How many times we call a truck a car? But Corey Bodie is currently the race leader right now. We did have, while we were watching all those replays, some pit stops in the back, but the vast majority of drivers choosing to stay out. Or maybe the pits weren't open yet. I guess we'll find out this time, bud.
Yeah, I would imagine everybody's going to take at least a splash. They don't need a whole lot, just enough to assure
pits weren't open
green,
yet.
white checkers. And there they go. Yeah, everybody coming down pit road, everybody taking. And this not only alleviates the fuel situation, Corey, but this is going to be a frantic dash to the end. It'll probably be about 10 to go by the time we go green. And you know as well as I do, Corey, you get that close to the end of Daytona, the heat gets turned up. It is going to be one wild finish, I'm sure. 44 with a very, very quick pit stop time at 5.2 on the clock. That is the fastest that I see on the entire pylon. So he knew how much fuel he needed, apparently. He knew exactly what he needed. But we do have a ton of drivers who did not pit. Corey, look at this. Chase Swank, Brian Noel, Forrest Smith, Ben Pierce, Nicholas Renner, Chase Caber. All of these guys stayed out. Probably good on fuel to the initial end of the race. Green, white checkers.
I'm interested how they... Now, I wonder if... I'm kind of interested how they pit 3 laps ago, though. It's kind of interesting to me, because we were green flag for quite a while, and then we just had that caution, so... Did I miss something? Or did they... Oh, no. Did they must have just made their green flag stops, and we missed it. So this actually worked out perfectly for them. Didn't catch that, didn't compute that in the moment. They must have made their green flag stops. And then, like we said, by the time that wreck happened, it in the words of Larry Mack in the 2011 Talladega race, they timed it perfectly.
Yes, they did. And Daytona is one of those tracks that you can pit, and by the time you get out of pit road, you will not be a lap down. So that caution probably came out right as they were making their exit. and now they've got enough fuel, they've got the track position, and that puts a few drivers with really good trucks in really dire situations. Brad Slaughter all the way back in P12, Garrett Conrath P10, Corey Bodie, who did lead some laps, P7. They've got some trucks to pass, and these guys, Chase Swank, Brian Noel, Ben Pierce, they have been gifted an opportunity on a silver platter, and I don't know about you, Corey, I don't think they're going to give that up easily. I think there's going to be some defensive driving up front.
Well, the only fear that I have is they haven't really been in the position, and I don't question their skill, I don't question their ability, their aggression, but at least in this race with the drivers that we're competing with, they haven't been in the mix, such as a Chase Cabry, a Chase Swank, Ben Pierce. So they've been just kind of cruising in the back all race, and now these drivers who've been slicing and dicing for 81 laps, they're ready. They're in formation. They know who can handle what. These drivers are going to have to catch up on the fly.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not a betting man, because I wouldn't know who to bet on here or what to even bet
absolutely.
on. The only thing I'd bet on is I don't think this is the final restart. I think we're probably going to see one more, but that's just me being a bit of a pessimist, which I know is usually your job, Corey, but I just know that, like you said, we've got drivers up front that have not had to be on the defensive, might be a little rusty on that. Then you got some drivers in the back that might be a little bit peeved. They might feel like, hey, I was up front, I got caught out by the caution, now I'm having to pass some trucks. The patience is going to be low. It's a bad recipe. We'll have to see how they handle it.
Absolutely. A bad recipe. I was just trying to think of one on the fly that's, two bad ingredients that don't go together, but couldn't come up with it on the fly. But this will put us down. Peanut butter and mayonnaise. I think Dale Jr. actually likes that. But anyways, coming into the pits is that pace truck. We'll go down to 10 laps to go. We can count the laps on our fingers, assuming we don't have overtime. Let's see what happens.
And Chase Swank in the 71 out of the way. The number 7 having a little bit of a connection issue there. Brian Noel is going to settle out there. Car is now fully visible. The internet provider has come through 3 wide for the back in the back. A few drivers jumping out of the line. I believe that is going to be up the 81 of Brad Slaughter. Whoever it was, they dove back in.
That was
Cole. Number 20, we're 4 wide. Oh boy. That was 4 wide with the number 20. Can't quite make out who else was there. Oh, this is chaos all throughout the pack. 10 to go, and the urgency is evident in the way these guys are driving. 3 wide, 4 rows deep. Up front, it's going to be single file, but that does not matter when you've got all this hard racing further back. Opportunity for incidents is abound.
Yeah, absolutely. I won't just be gasted. I will be flabbergasted if we get to the end in one piece, as much as I would love to see that happen. But Chase Swank, again, hasn't been up front all race, but now finds himself in the position to be that traffic cop, to be that elevator man right there. And it's hard to do that when you have a blinker. Brian Noel has the momentum, has the opportunity, but doesn't have the connection there. As there we go, we are done wrecking. I said we were done wrecking. I said that more in a southern accent, but we quite literally were not done wrecking, as the wreck carried over into 3 and 4 as well.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Oh my goodness, I could not make out it seemed like 3 cars wrecked simultaneously there that had little to do with one another. It's hard to tell what caused any of that. I'm looking at the 96. We know he was involved.
4 wide, 30.
4 wide, we caught him. And that 96 almost went up and over there. There was blow over physics for these trucks. He lifted off the ground. That is interesting. I'm going to stop pointing that out because that's just a personal thing for me, I guess, that I'm caught up on. But yeah, they went 4 wide. The 30 tried to avoid contact with the cars on his outside, came down into the 96. And then from there, I mean, nobody had anywhere to go. I mean, what could you do in that situation?
Yeah, not really much. And I mean, just thinking of where this puts us in terms of the end of the race, I mean, we'll probably go, I imagine, 6 to go, 5 to go. And then that gives us technically another opportunity to keep it in regulation if another quick caution comes out, but we'll hope that doesn't happen. Well, we have 2 bets that we can play. We can both do it at the same time. We have 46 viewers welcome into this stream right now. So if you're watching this live, again, we appreciate you here. If you're watching on Twitch, consider subscribing over there, and consider subscribing over here to YouTube and hitting that like button, going through the things here. And I think I've actually covered just about everybody in terms of the only one I haven't covered, Hendry County Motorsports Park. Again, you can check them out at henryracing.com for the information on the southernmost dirt track in America in Clewiston, Florida. But if you're new to PTR TV, we do one game. We always play the caution game. I have every ability to put the caution count on the screen, but I choose not to because guessing is just fun. So that being said, Mr. Dirt, what's our caution count at?
Let me think here. I'm going to say 12 cautions. I think we're about 12.
You pessimist. I'm going to roll with a paltry 8. And actually, let's one-up this, shall we? What do we have for lead changes?
That's going to be interesting. I'm going to say we are above 50. I'll say 50 even.
All right, so you're going 12 and 50 here. I'm going to go, I already said 8, and I'm going to go with 32. And I'm going to go to the end of the lap just to see if anyone in our YouTube chat wants to play the game. And hopefully we don't forget what we said. I said 8 and 32. You said 12 and 50 here. So Brad and HR here at PTR TV was going to go through and see if we're going to give somebody something. We don't have anything to give, but if we did, we'll find a way to do it here. Interestingly enough, I just came out with a t-shirt design, and we actually are coming out with a merch store. It's not going to be as good as the area merch store, but I'm coming out with something here on PTR TV, doing some fun things here. But looks like YouTube's quiet, so let's just do our Steve Harvey survey. Says, wait, it's not 4 cautions. Okay, I did while we were under a caution. While we were under a caution flag, I did do an overlay reset for the sole purpose because I wanted to fix our pit road timing. So we'll throw that out. But in terms of lead changes, I said 32, so I'm right there at 31. And yeah,
you also would have erased the lead changes prior to that.
So it ruins our whole game. We'll have to go after the race and see
I'm gonna say that I was closer.
All right. Well, after the race, we could pull that up. I could pull up the actual iRacing stat sheet after the race here. So technically, the software we use is supposed to remember things in terms of overlay reset, but you know how technology works. It only is beneficial until it's not here. But we're getting our 1 to green right now, as denoted by the blue lights on the ticker up there. Once those turn blue, that is how you know we are on 1 to green. So we'll go green with 5 to go. So let's just think of worst case scenarios. You know, remember, if we get to the white, as we saw last night, doesn't matter what happens on the white flag lap, we finish to the checkers unconditionally. That gives us 4 laps, maybe 3.9 laps, to have utter chaos and get this thing restarted.
Yeah, it's going to be something. I can't blame any of these drivers for the aggression that we're seeing, you know, this late into the race with the way that the cards have kind of fallen. The aggression is kind of a natural progression. But I'm sure these drivers up front, they just want to get to that checkered flag. They want to see this thing said and done. That 71 did a really good job actually maintaining his track position. Seemed to have a truck that was comfortable in the lead before that caution came out. So we'll see what happens there. But you know, a lot of those drivers involved in that incident, they're back out on track as well. Again, this truck is pretty beefy. It takes a few hits before anything that's going to take you out of the race. So some of those drivers already out back on track. Lights are off on the pace truck. It'll be 5 to go when we cross the line. Whether or not we make those 5 laps, well, that is in the hands of the racing gods, I suppose. But pace truck headed towards pit road. It's going to make that hard left turn. A little bit of a connection issue there for just a moment.
Well, hopefully that is all it is for our race leader, of Chase Swank, Forrest Smith down there to the inside, and you have Mr. Lamar Chicane, Mr. Chicane, Nicholas Renner, and Brian Noel in row number 2. 5 laps to go here in the Area Truck Series opener at Daytona. Will we finish this thing through? Who will survive? Who will take it to victory circle?
Could be anybody in this lead pack. I'll tell you, it is anybody's game. And the 71, they tried to hang it off the drive. They tried to jump to the outside. A little bit of contact out of the 65 to the outside wall. He's able to gather it up, didn't bounce back down into anybody beneath him. So that outside groove, though, they are moving. And it looks like the 71 jumped out to make a block, but everybody's doing whatever they can to get around him. And as they go through wide momentarily, that low lane is going to get the big run. That is going to be, can't quite make out the number on that machine, but Danny Ware in the 35 now leading the way. Chase Caber, Jeremy Miller behind. And that 71, he did lead that restart. He has dropped so far back on that outside, Corey. Look at where he is now. Oh my goodness, he is.
Oh no!
12 lengths back. We got a truck on the apron. Will he come back up into traffic? Oh no!
Sometimes the best commentary is no commentary.
Yeah. Take a look at the replay. We'll give benefit of the doubt. Maybe car was not slowing down. Maybe couldn't quite roll it up and stay on the apron.
Where is he? Where is he? All right. So, all right. Well, let's go back. Here we go. Here we go. Now he's in the middle there. That truck that kind of looks like 81 a slaughter. He positioned. The lane wasn't there. Now he's on the apron. Yeah, I mean, I understand wanting to stay in it, but you have to realize you can't blend onto the apron, onto the racetrack with that much steam. You're not going to be able to keep it down there. Didn't help that he ramped off the pavement down there, but
yeah, my lawyer has advised me not to say anything. The incident played out as we saw. That is all there is to it, and we're gonna have another restart. It is gonna be a green-white checkered, and I can't say it's gonna be any less interesting than what we've seen. These guys obviously very hungry for a win, very competitive out here, and I don't know, Corey. It's going to be something.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I just think of all the Haley Deegan videos on YouTube I've seen of, you know, Chase just ripping those dirt midgets around, you know, Millbridge and the Chili Bowl and whatnot, and just methodically just working his way through and just racing smart around a lot of young kids who maybe he's older, maybe, you know, they might be more aggressive, but he knows how to be there when it matters. And that's what he's done. Has he, outside of right now, been in this all race? No, he's been in the back. Obviously got the break with the caution coming out when it did. And now he's in second. But the problem is he was a late arrival to the league, just kind of joined here today. How many friends does he have up front? Because, you know, you have the Hendry County boys. You have the Swan Motorsports boys. You have the 609 car, the 609 trucks. I wouldn't want to be an independent right now.
No. Definitely helps to have friends. Definitely helps to have somebody who's going to link up with you and push you. But as it goes, at the end of Daytona like this, those friendships evaporate as soon as that white flag comes out. So they're going to be at a disadvantage for a lap or two. And then it's just every man for themselves. And they got the same shot, the same opportunities that anybody else has. The real game is going to be knowing when to switch lanes, knowing how to kind of force somebody to help you. If you see somebody coming with a head of steam, jumping up into their lane, letting them push you sort of involuntarily is going to be the name of the game. Teammates be danged. It's going to be a brawl. There is still a lot of trucks on this track. Again, the damage model a little bit forgiving. So we haven't seen as much attrition as you'd expect. And, you know, when you have this many cars, this many trucks with an opportunity this late in the game, you expect guys to get a little bit bold or opportunistic with their moves, as we've seen a time or two. And all I can say is if you're that 35, keep your eye on that mirror and make sure that you are throwing some Joey Logano-esque blocks, because you're going to need them.
Absolutely, and I've said it once, I will say it again, and I'll say it every single time it ever becomes applicable. We have to get ourselves around 2.5 miles to that white flag, and once we get it, you saw last night, basically there was a 37 car wreck off of turn number 4, and we raced ourselves to the end. There's no NASCAR race control deciding who to press the button. The button gets turned off, unplugged, and it's going to go on the NASCAR, the area hauler down to Miami. So we have to get there, and if not, we have 2 more opportunities. Everybody should have enough fuel. Remember, we had that pit stop. Everybody took enough fuel, imagine, to get themselves 10, 15 laps. But you saw Jeremy Miller. He's led a lot of laps. Travis Beckner up earlier in the race. He was someone who led a fair bit of laps. And Josh Parrish, he was just backwards maybe, 15 minutes ago?
Yeah, he was. Honestly, I think that 55 has been in more wrecks now than the number 20 has. He's been involved in, to my count, 4 incidents, maybe 5, and he's still right up here in the 3rd row with a very solid chance at this race win. So could be interesting for certain, and he's going to have a little bit of help from behind as well. So we'll see exactly how it transpires. Lights are out, and I'd imagine these drivers getting a little bit nervous, knowing how these restarts have gone, knowing how little time is left in this race. This is that time where you got to shut that brain off, shut the inner monologue down, don't let it rattle you. Just focus on holding your line and just kind of hyper-focus on what everybody else is doing, so you know where to go, where to put the truck, not get caught up in something. So I don't know. For my pick, I'm going to tell you, Corey, I think that number 30, Jeremy Miller, he has been so smart with his spatial awareness, with knowing where to put that truck, and he's been fast. I'm going to call this shot. I think he's my pick, but it's a gamble.
Yeah, I'm going to put my thoughts on the number 28. And no surprise, 2 incident points being assessed to the number 75 by admin for that caution. And I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. But what will be a surprise to anybody is, are we going to finish this thing through for 2 laps green, or are we going to rack them and stack them and head into further overtime here? Well, let's find the answers to those important questions. Pace truck pulls in, potentially for the final time here. Overtime underway. Well, let's do it. Ware and Cabri on the front row.
And that 35 gets a good start. Driver's a little bit squirrely already behind, trying to push and shove if they can to get their way towards the front 41. Getting a healthy shove from that 28 that was your pick here, but unable to really make much of it, at least yet. When they come out of turn 2, they may build up the momentum. You're going to see them close in just a little bit, but 2 to go. It'll be the white flag if we make it that far. 3 wide further back in the field. Those drivers in the lead are hoping that those 3 wide drivers settle it down a little bit, at least long enough to get to that white flag. Danny Ware, though, he's the one that wants to see it more than anybody else in the 3rd lane. The 54
2 Coles up top.
Yeah, he dives to the top lane. The white flag is in hand. I think we're going to get there, Corey.
Absolutely, the white flag in hand. Doesn't matter what the occurrence is, this race will finish under green flag conditions. And right there, huge wreck entering turn number 1. It does not matter. We race on through. Forrest Smith involved. That's going to kill the outside lane. Danny Ware has the lead, but it's going to be a timing game. Jeremy Miller in second with the push from the 86 of Logan Hartman down the super stretch to the top of the track. Oh, that's a blowover right there for you. 86 up and majorly airborne. Now we're going to have a 2-truck drag race to the finish. Jeremy Miller and Danny Ware. Ryan Swan, he has a head of steam. It's going to be a classic drag race. Where will the run go? Ryan Swan to the top, huge block. And now it's a kamikaze block to the bottom through the grass, but Jeremy Miller somehow finishes it in the lead.
What a final lap. 3 blowovers, I believe, and Huge wreck in turn 1, huge wreck on the backstretch. My goodness.
I just don't know how to compute any of that last lap, Dirt. I don't know how to compute it.
I can't say I understand it either. They're going to look at a replay here. I believe this is the backstretch incident. Was it the 55, maybe? Something happened.
Oh, no, it was the 86 of Logan Hartman. Again, that you talk about blowover physics. There you go. He went up to he had position on the 30 when I don't think he expected to have position on the 30. But now here we go. This was 2 trucks going side by side, but look at the tandeming between Swan and Bell. Thought they were going to have it here. Ryan Swan did actually finish second, and that was just a late block. I mean, kamikaze dive to the 35. And Danny Ware through the grass actually registered a 3rd place finish. But all the while, this is going to be an interesting post race. I will say that, but I guess all that matters is that the 30 is going to be the happy one.
Yeah, he'll be the happy one. I don't know that there's going to be too many drivers pleased with him. Definitely made some bold defensive moves, we'll put it that way. And that's what you got to do, though. Here at Daytona, it's eat or be eaten. It really is. It's a tough game, and sometimes on the last lap, you got to go for it. Jeremy Miller takes the win. He played it smart all night long, had a truck that could win all night long, and he did win. Ryan Swan with a flip to 2nd place, and then Danny Ware sliding through the infield grass, going to be P3. Josh Cottle, I'm going to say Cottle, but I could be wrong there. P4, Chase Swank P5, Alex Chilcutt in the 60 is going to be P6, Trevor Edwards P7, Cole Caber going to be P8, 9 and 10 going to go to Zach Carr and Travis Beckner respectively.
Our next page results, Corey Bodie in 11th with Jeremy Brown in 12th, Brian Noel 13th, Logan Hartman, Josh Parrish. Remember, he was just in the top 5. Garrett Conrath, our season prior champion, Eli Green, Stephen Oberstadt, Forsmith, and Chase Caber. Remember, he was up there in 2nd on the restart, and we'll just let the rest of them scroll on through here. Most of these drivers involved in a wreck or some serious issues. This last page of results, obviously, they had the worst end of the stick with a lot of damage. But we'll head to victory lane. Hopefully, we have these drivers in the waiting room. I guess, Mr. Dirt, Andre, you have a word with our race winner.
Mr. Miller, you got a copy?
Yeah.
Well, Jeremy, you ran a phenomenal race. You were up front all night long. You definitely seemed to know how to play both sides of the coin. You knew how to be offensive. You knew how to be defensive. And at times, you had to be a little bit of both, but you brought it home in P1. Tell me a little bit about this very eventful race.
Yeah, I mean, I've lost so many of these, however close they've been. I've lost the Area 500 by 1,000 last year, and then, yesterday, and the Area 500 just was up front all day and just had some stuff go not our way. And got in a spot where I could control my destiny there, and I just did what I could. I mean, it's plate racing, and people make bad blocks all the time, and probably could have timed 1 or 2 a little bit better there, but it was enough to get me across the checkered flag to the checkered flag, and it's honestly what mattered there.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's plate racing. You see blocks like that in real life. You see aggression like that in real life. And I mean, I don't think anybody on the sim can be held to any different standard there. And you got to do what you got to do. And like you said, you've come up short so many times. And not tonight. Tonight it is the victory. And I don't think anybody can take it away from you, because regardless of, the last few laps and the kind of craziness there, like I said, you were dominant all night long. You led a lot of laps. You were up front. You knew what you were doing. How did the truck feel handling-wise? Because we saw a lot of drivers kind of get squirrely out of the corners, didn't feel too comfortable in the pack, but you looked good.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little squirrely, but I think a lot of guys just... I just don't think they have enough experience with some of the changes they made necessarily to the truck. A lot more aero games going on than used to be, so you get kind of pulled left and right. Saw a couple of things that may look like bad blocks, but it's actually just people getting pulled by the air or getting tugged by a bumper. So I mean, just working with some good guys up front. We had me and Zach up front. He's with 609. I'm with Vac, and the truck's got to make all the Vac guys. But 609 across the board everywhere else, and working with those 609 guys tonight, we were all really good, and just didn't work out for all of them. But I was glad to bring Matt Liveries and SWN to victory lane for Vac Esports.
Absolutely. And my last question, starting the season with a win, it can't be much of a better feeling. What does that do for the confidence going into the next few races here?
Doesn't even matter right now. Just happy to have a win. When Aaron's gone, so we're going to have to build points. Truck Series is probably the series we should have our best season in across the board running all three this season. So we'll just take this momentum and roll it as far forward as we can. Might have a EOL or something more coming next week, so we'll deal with that when it comes. But I think it was worth a victory.
For my 2 cents, I don't think you should get any sort of EOL for anything that transpired. That was just a crazy last lap. But I like that answer. Living in the moment. We can think about next week, cross that bridge when we get to it. But for now, it's all about the celebration.
Oh, Jeremy, before you go, Jeremy, in your hand in that profile picture, is that a line? Line?
It's a B line. We're going to grab a Bapple right now. I just took the picture with the line. But
you got the apple. Now that's a good one.
Yeah.
All right.
We might get some more than just that going too, Corey.
All right. Just had to clarify that. But congrats, man.
Yeah, thank you.
And now second place, I've got him, Ryan Swan. Well, Ryan, I think you win the award of the most chaotic race of the day, or the night, I guess, so to speak. Upside down, quite literally. I think you were in about 80% of the cautions. And yeah, we're in a good spot to win until, turn 4. How do you summarize your night?
Yeah, that just shows the, 100 or 90 laps of grit and keeping my foot in it and, racing everybody clean, which it seems, somebody just has to forget that out of turn 4, personally, and excuse my language, that was horse shit in my opinion, and he knows it. I personally hope he chokes on that win, because if I have anything to do with it, that's his last.
Well, I mean, in the moment of it, I fully understand it. I mean, the race overall, we had good stages in it. We had good segments. I don't really recall outside of a few having green flag stops, but what was it like from flap 1, 2, 3 wide? There really was no real break period in this race. What was it like just in the driver's seat getting this thing started off with a bunch of new drivers?
It's chaos. You got some guys returning from a couple seasons ago that, were really, really squirrely, it seemed like the whole race, and you got these new guys who are coming in, and some of them look pretty good and some of them not so much, and just we're gonna have that at Daytona. Hopefully next week we can get a little bit better racing for you guys. And
yeah, I was just gonna say that. I guess the quote unquote real season starts next week at Miami. How's Swan Motorsports gonna be heading down there next week?
Well, I'm actually Sleppy Motorsports in the Truck Series. As far as the Cup team goes, been a little while since we've been to Miami, so on that side, a little optimistic, but this Truck Series, like I said, it seems a little lower level competition this year, and hopefully we can, run pretty good and have a decent follow-up to this race here.
All right, man. Well, I won't make you bask in it any further, man. Congrats on doing what you did here today. It was a great comeback story at the very least. Any final words before we let you go?
Yeah, I appreciate Rick's Hot Sauce, Blue Tip Pool Builders, Matt Liveries, dude, one of the best out there. Sleppy Motorsports, thank you to Jake for getting me to the front. Thank you for Jeremy Miller for ending the night.
All right, and we will let it go on those final words, man. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
And now the landscape third place winner of the race, Danny Ware, who had a very interesting way to finish this thing through with under it.
Mr. Ware, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, Danny, that was up and down race. Once you got up front, you never really looked back. You were pretty much a mainstay in that top 5 after that last pit sequence. Unfortunately, didn't walk away with a trophy, but you do get a podium, and it was shaping up to be a drag race, and then some contact happened. The 30 into the 20, then down into you. Tell me a little bit about that last lap from your perspective.
I was just planning on holding the bottom line and seeing if they were going to all wreck each other trying to get to the top. That was really my plan. I didn't really think of anything. Jeremy gave me a push to get out front. I knew he was going to try to just drag race me to the line. Then I saw them having a run, so I was just hoping that they'd wreck each other up top, and I was going to scoot by, but they just came down the track and collected me and just, ended up missing it by a couple positions.
Yeah, a couple positions indeed, and doing it in style, sliding through the infield grass. But what about the rest of the race? I mean, you guys were not holding back. There was not a lot of conservation, 3 and even 4 wide at times. Majority of the race was held 3 wide, and I know you in particular were in a number of 3 wide situations. What was the anxiety level throughout these 90 laps?
I don't know. It's just basically like, hopefully we don't wreck. Basically the whole time everybody was squirrely and sideways. You just had to hold on, hope nobody wrecked. I got caught up in a couple wrecks early there, so I didn't really know what was going to happen. Eventually I just ended up front and just, I don't know, everybody didn't want to save fuel. We just wanted to go and have some fun, and we made that happen.
Definitely looked fun. Well, again, congratulations on a podium. Before we let you go, is there any shout-outs you'd like to make, Danny?
I'd like to thank Bryce and 09 Racing. Our team looks pretty stout this season so far. I know it's just Daytona, but I'm excited to get it ready. I'd like to thank Roderick Racing Development, Simrat Market, and Elwood Designs.
All righty. Well, thank you for your time, Mr. Ware. We're going to let you get back to your team. We'll catch you next week.
Thank you.
All right, well, that'll wrap up our show here tonight. Well, it was a Daytona race there, Dirt. I mean, the ending was the ending. The wrecks were the wrecks. At the end of the day, it was a Daytona race. And, I mean, at least from our perspective, I got one more in the tank. But what are you looking forward to next week, where we kind of head to a, dare I call it, a real track?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm looking forward to next week for sure. And even this race, like you said, it's Daytona. And I called it when I seen it. I knew there was going to be a few drivers maybe not too pleased with our race winner. But at the end of the day, you kind of expect this stuff coming to the line at Daytona. And, you know, it's the drama, it's the controversy, whatever side you take on it. I think there's an argument to be made for either side of the coin. But the only thing you can say for certain is that it's Daytona. And we see it a lot. And it's more fun for us up in the booth because we get to enjoy the drama. We're not, personally invested in the outcome necessarily from a biased perspective. So I had fun. I thought it was a great race. Lots of lead changes. And the fuel strategy I thought was really going to be something there for a little bit, Corey. But unfortunately, that kind of got turned on its head. But either way, I had fun. I thought it was a good race. Yeah,
well, I was looking forward to it too, but that's how the cookie crumbles. But you can stay tuned for Thursday to finish out the week of area. The Florida Estate Builders Pro Series will be live here, PTR TV, same time. Hunter Sleppy will be giving the calls with me, and then we'll continue on here on Sunday on PTR TV with some triple bypass action, and then we'll start the area trifecta, another week of action next week. So make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, help us get to 2,000 subscribers. Don't miss any of that content that I just told you is right on the cusp here, and we'll catch you next time. Corey and Dirt signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll see you later.